Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. And we're back with another episode of Found Footage Fridays with my co-host, Tom Reimer. And this episode, we are talking about the 2022 found footage film by the creators of The People Who Did the Host, Dashcam, which has been out for about a month.
Has it been that long? Yes, maybe just about.
Like close to that, like 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no.
I'm gonna let me tell you, I'll read you the synopsis and then I will tell you what its ratings are.
Okay.
So far. Okay. Okay. It came out June 3rd. At the start of the pandemic, an indulgent and self-deluded live-streaming improv musician abandons LA for London, steals her ex-bandmate's car, and makes the wrong decision to give a ride to an elderly woman who is not what she seems.
No.
Interesting. I didn't, I went in this blind. I didn't read the synopsis. So
I didn't read anything about it. Yep.
Yeah. So it has a 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. A 49% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 45% on Metacritic and a 55% on Google. That is so like close for it to be. They're normally like with found footage, when you go across the board like that, they're all like this.
I have thoughts on that. Why that is happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're going to do a similar format into how I do episodes with for Horror Bessie Breakdown. I think instead of going, literally step for step through the movie, we're just going to kind of talk about it. So we'll do a star rating, a non-spoiler section for people who are interested in seeing the movie but haven't seen it yet, and then we'll jump into to spoilers after that. So and I do out of 10. I should have told you that before. I forgot. Sorry.
Okay. I got to reevaluate. Okay.
I know a lot of people do 5. I do 10 because it gives me more room to judge.
That actually I like better.
Yeah. So so think about it and then tell me what your star rating out of 10 is for Dashcam 2022.
You want me to go first?
You want me to give you mine first? I will.
You go first.
Okay. So my rating for this is a 4 out of 10.
Yep. Yeah. I well, when you told me the scale, I was had my brain on 5 out of 10.
What? Okay. So that's pretty close. What did you have it out of 5?
I was stuck between a 2 and a 3. Yeah. Okay. I know. 2.5. Yeah. I would just say, I said right before we went live that I took a lot of notes. I don't typically ever take notes when I watch a movie, but I just had a lot of thoughts. And the first thing that really kind of came to mind, I don't know how much I'm going to say right off the bat, but
just don't spoil anything
without spoiling.
Plot wise,
they're really good filmmakers. They are, and still, I'll give it that rating.
Yeah, because I love
they're innovative filmmakers for sure.
Yes, I agree. I went into this thinking the makers of Host, this is going to be so badass. Yeah. So,
but I think it still had a lot of good stuff about it. Without spoiling, there is a lot of good about it.
Really?
But I just have a lot of critique, also a lot of critiques.
Yeah, and I think what I can say unspoiled is that I think there was a lot of originality. There was a lot of potential that got a little squandered because of one component that I'm sure we're going to dive into.
Yep.
But I think just for me, took me completely out of it from the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it is crazy because it's even got one of the people in it from Host. Actually, 2 or 3 people from Host.
Yeah, at least a couple. Yeah.
A couple. And I was I'm telling you, I was so pumped for this. I paid a lot to watch this on my phone when it first came out.
mean, I don't feel bad about that. I feel it's good to support
Sure, it
people
is.
making the kinds of movies I like to watch, and I'm still happy I watched it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but and I say all that to say, like, that was my level of excitement going into it
yeah,
is, I pick and choose the horror that I pay to see, that I go out to see if, like, I'm gonna make myself go to a theater.
mhm,
And so, like, I went in like so amped and like looking for something good and unique, and because Host was so unique. That's what I was expecting. And not that it's not unique, because it is, but it had a lot of really good potential. And I
fun.
just like it just like never like broke the surface for me.
Right. It was too much other stuff to think about while I was watching it.
Yeah, and if
Here's
and
the
if
thing.
you're watching this and you're thinking about seeing it, let me just give you this like brief note. It's a super political movie. Like,
Yeah,
super political. And I don't mean like just has a statement. Like, it is in your face political. And I think that that's probably a fair warning for somebody going into it, maybe expecting something a little different.
yeah,
But yeah, it was, I mean, essentially, yeah, our main protagonist, like, it takes a little while for things to kind of like get moving. Like, it takes a little while, but um once it does, I will say this, I think there's some pretty good story elements. There's some
sure.
pretty good creepy moments, and
Yeah,
these like, oh, like, caught me off guard moments um that I did really like, which is why it didn't get any lower than,
yeah,
a 4. So that's probably all I can say, not spoiling anything.
yeah. And to be fair to the filmmakers, I don't necessarily think it's a commentary or it says anything about their political leanings. I don't
I
want to.
agree.
I'm not saying that at all. Because I don't think that's what was going
No,
on.
I
At
think it
least
was actually
choice.
meant to be actually the opposite.
I think you're right,
Yeah.
but it still was distracting, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Distracting is an excellent way to put it, actually.
and my biggest critique about the main character basically aren't even necessarily about that sort of thing. I mean, that pulled me out, but it was
Mhm.
also more of that character, just as a human being, that
Garbage.
was distracting. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not when I've said before in our previous episode that like found footage for me has to feel real.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I don't feel like the main character feels the feels the feels the fear, then why should I? And so I definitely felt that about this protagonist.
That's a really good point too. I
Yep.
felt similar. I think I even commented on that while I was watching it.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Like you're still like, okay, I've said it so many times watching found footage, but you're still filming. You're still filming. Why? I mean, in this one, it got to a point like, and
You're
not even just still
completely,
filming. You're like
yeah.
offering a comical commentary as you're still filming. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much more without spoiling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about it, in truth, because I think the parts that are done well, I almost hate that they're done well, because I was like,
Oh
there are
yeah,
these moments where I was pulled right back in for just a little bit, and I think that, yeah, I definitely think it's meant to be a statement,
hmm,
opposite as to what's going on. But I
sure,
think, like, I just like, I need that stuff to be subtle. I love when it's in things. I love,
yeah,
like, Get Out is like a phenomenal movie. And there's things about movies like that like, and I even though I didn't like The Babadook, I really love the message of The Babadook. And I
right,
can get behind horror like that, but I need it to be like embedded in what's going
and
on. It can't just be like this constantly all the time. You can't see my hand like this
yeah,
constantly all the time.
absolutely. And I want to see people, from all walks of life. That's not my point either. I'm fine with that.
Sure.
It just can't be the only thing,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
that's true. There really wasn't there's no layers. I like
the
layers.
character. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah,
Layers to the character. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, I don't know. I don't have anything else that I can say unspoiled. Do you?
No, let's spoil the crap out of this thing. Let's go.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I probably got about 10 minutes in and I thought I'm not going to be able to finish this movie.
Oh, really? No, I didn't get there. I didn't get there.
I did. I mean, obviously I did finish it because I was like, I paid for it. Maybe it's gonna like, and for what it's worth, and not bashing this film at all. I think that I'm very glad that I did watch it because it's a very different movie from Host. And I like that it's
Sure.
different. I appreciate that about it. But yeah, she what is her name? Annie, right? The main
Yep.
character. Annie's political views and the way that she treats other human beings and like it's so over the top that like you said it really distracted me from anything else like
Yeah. I mean, there were like seriously awful things that were happening in this film to people around her. And not only did she continue to film them, she was like, I mean, I guess you could argue maybe she was like just traumatized or shocked and shell shocked by what was happening, but she
yeah
continued to sort of like at one point she says like that this is the best episode of
yes
Car ever or something like that. And it
yes
was just like, what? Like really? There were also like technical elements with the movie that were tough for me.
Hmm.
Like I wanted to be able to read all of the side commentary that was going down the screen,
oh the chat
the chat. Yeah. And I found myself like squinting and like maybe I'm just blind, but like trying to read it all. It was really small, the text, and like watch what was going on and read it. I'm just old, I guess. But like I wasn't sure if I was supposed to read all of it because I
right
missed half the movie. I feel like if I read every single comment, but
yeah
I'm just also really poor at multitasking, so it could just be commentary on myself. But I thought that was just a personal issue with the film.
yeah I think when you're talking about movies that utilize social media I don't know what else to call it but
Yeah.
when you have things that use those it does have to be done a certain way and one of the things that did not bother me about Unfriended but when I showed my mother was like she couldn't keep up with all of the switching back and forth between all of the different
Screens. Yep.
technologies
Yep.
because it is a lot and I think like it is an interesting thing to try to balance and I found myself after a while because I did the same thing I was like completionist like I was trying to like and I
Mhm.
couldn't and I eventually gave up plus I was watching it on my phone so it was like really small but
Yeah. Yep.
I tried to catch like highlights of capital things or like people who send emojis I was like trying to keep up with it but yeah it was no it's a lot to keep up with
And like another sort of interesting thing was I think this is just like Host. This is the second movie they've made that does take place during the pandemic,
hmm
which was a thing in the movie. So I thought that
hmm
was interesting. I thought one missed opportunity, and I got really excited when this finally got to this point. But there's like an old carnival, an amusement park, and I was like,
yes
yes,
I
yes.
thought the same thing I thought
And
the
then
same
and then it
thing
was just like over. It was just done. There were scenes that I was like, "Oh, this is going into like Blair Witch territory. They're walking through the woods," and
same
then it
thing.
didn't go there. And I know like that's what's happening there. But I thought those are some missed opportunities, and not suggesting they should make the next Blair Witch, but
I know what
um,
you're saying though.
you
It
know,
would have been yeah.
and again, like I just felt like the character, wasn't scared of the situation she was in. It was like she was watching it at home herself
Yeah.
and commenting on what was happening around her. Like, so that just pulled me out. Like, it was
Yeah.
hard to to watch this and be scared. And that's the point of found footage for me, is like feels real. And I
Yeah.
think that's missed. She's not an actress either. I believe that she was chosen for this movie, but not actually an actress. I think that
I think that's
she
right.
has
Yeah.
like a show that's sort of similar to this. So I think the idea was, bring this person in who is sort of like maybe
She
not
kind of
exactly
played
like this character.
herself.
Did
Yeah.
she? Did she? Okay, I didn't know.
Well, and just from without like diving too deep into this side of it, just from what I found about her, it's
Yeah.
very similar as far as, I think she kind of played herself
Okay.
more or less. I did the same thing when they got to the carnival. I immediately was like, "Oh my god, please let this
Yeah.
be that like moment I've been waiting on." Because first of all, anything carnival related is it's
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
anything underwater. It immediately hits a note for me. It's
Mhm.
like it's just don't mess it up after that. Like it's so like
It's not that
it's
hard to mess up. Just keep it there and
keep it.
yeah.
Yes. And when I was like, when they got to that part, and I'm thinking like, and I'm sitting here, I'm watching it thinking like, I would love to stumble upon like an abandoned carnival.
What a
Like
great idea for a film or a movie.
it
Yeah.
is especially
The book.
found footage. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is gonna be so. And then you're right, it was like a kind of like a quick little moment, and then we were like out of
After
it. And I was like,
film.
damn
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That was one thing I noticed.
Yeah.
Geez. Yeah, it's more just on her. I really like protagonist, incredibly unlikable. Wow, she's a terrible person. Um, uh, it's just like more of how is she still rapping? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and
um,
there's that, what scene really got under my skin as far as like talking about her not being afraid and just kind of trying to be funny this whole time and all this.
yep.
The scene where the woman that we learn is the mother, she's
Yeah.
got her arm in that
Oh,
steering wheel
yeah.
and she's yanked it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I forget, I will never say the things that this woman says in this movie. She
Oh,
is
yeah.
like the worst potty mouth I've ever heard in my life.
Hmm.
And I cuss a plenty. YouTube doesn't like it, so I try to be careful, but if you listen to the podcast, it's there. And she's like takes that weird electronic microphone and she like asks her questions about like her female body parts. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, that's no way. First of all, like
Well, I mean, I guess she's supposed to be this ridiculous. I mean,
yes.
that was intentional. She's supposed to
Yes,
be
I agree.
a ridiculous character. They didn't cast her accidentally, especially if what you say is true. So, like, that's fine. It
Right.
just at some point, I feel like the character had to actually be in the movie and not watching the movie, or
I know what
um,
you mean. I agree with
like
that.
some of the scenes were really scary. They were really scary, and then she was there, like laughing about it, or like filming it even. And I think it sort of had the same feeling that a lot of fan footage movies do, and then that and maybe I shouldn't criticize this because I love fan footage films. So,
Yeah.
um, but like at some point, there has to be a reason they're still holding that camera, and they haven't turned it off. I mean, she's like deep underwater at one point and she's still holding on to the camera, and apparently the camera is also waterproof, which I know isn't a huge stretch nowadays, but like everything seemed to allow the camera to continue
It just
functioning.
was too good to be true. Like the circumstances just worked out.
I mean, like
Yes.
I walk outside in the rain and my phone stops working, you know what I mean? Like I know
I
I'm
know what you mean
dating
though.
myself, but
But
like
but all of those things together take away that element of realness, and that's what makes it not scary or effective. And I agree. I think there were a lot of moments that I said like that. I really was like when you see, I hate, I'm so bad about names of characters, but the older woman, when she goes up from the like all of a sudden you see her ass
oh
like
man,
I was like, that was so good, but
it
I
was
got
scary. Yeah.
so distracted by the dialogue or the monologue that came after that. And even the part where she gets to the house and she
Yeah.
goes, oh my, that whole thing was so
It was
good.
really well done. And couldn't they have made the same movie and just had the characters sort of like react to what was happening, like react in a and maybe that's just who this person was, and it didn't matter how ridiculous it was. She was still gonna be like this, but that was hard to watch as a viewer.
It
I
was
thought
hard to watch as a
hard to
viewer.
like enjoy as a viewer. Yeah.
And I'm not one of those, like, I don't have to have somebody to root for necessarily. but I have to at least like somebody that I'm going to be looking at for the
Yeah.
majority of the film. And to your point, like when there that scene where she's like arguing and being like way out of line with that shop owner,
Yeah,
like
that
when
was
she goes to get food or whatever it was with her
mhm.
friend towards the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I was just like, Jesus Christ. And then like she's saying, and I'm telling you, I will say this, and then obviously it's a movie, but like if that were real life, she would have got her ass beat if I was that guy's wife. Like the way she like came and oh my god, when she walked in their house, like she broke into their
Yeah,
house
that
and she
that
like
was
spit in her hand and smacked him. I was like,
oh my god.
oh my
Yeah.
god. Like
But, like, even when, horrible things happened to her friend and
it was like she didn't even care,
yeah,
wasn't
oh, no,
phased.
I was like, it for a second, she was upset and then wasn't. So she was more of a comical character,
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't
that,
like that part.
that's the character she's playing, and but that was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Um, which is there was so much potential, and I think it shows like these guys are gonna make some great movies, and I really
Yes.
want them to keep making found footage
Yes.
movies. I loved Host.
Me too.
Host was so good.
So
I know everyone's saying that now, but it really was good. It was
really, yeah.
short, which I don't mind for found footage horror movies.
Right.
But like, I don't know. And I think here's another like thing with her filming, just the character. Like
Yeah.
her show that she was filming is Band Car, but like for the majority of the time she was filming, it wasn't even it wasn't Band Car. Like, why was she still filming? Am I missing something there? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
that was weird too?
Yeah, I think it was meant to be the reason. And then we lose that when well, pretty much as soon as things start going ugly, it's like after she steals the car
Yeah,
and I think like there are these moments like when she first goes to that restaurant to do that pickup order or whatever, and the restaurant's like closed down and the woman takes her to the back, and that's when we meet like our other main person.
mhm.
Those like the way that that was shot, that whole like next, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes reminded me a lot of I'm gonna say Quarantine because I saw Quarantine first, but just like the
Yep.
grit and the gross and like these weird, like the
Yeah,
lighting, like it was very reminiscent of things that I've loved. Like it just, I don't know, like it built up, like it made me feel good about like the way that it was shot because I got a little bit more invested at that point. And I will say this: the one thing she did say that I agreed with that I laughed was when she was like, she walked to the back and saw that the lady was sick, and she said, "Nope." She turned around and
oh
started.
yeah, that was realistic. It's
That did make me laugh.
I mean, it's as far as found footage movies go, it's like a high quality sort of film. Like the effects are
Bigger budget,
solid,
kind of. Yeah,
big budget, which some people look at that as a negative almost. I don't necessarily, but like
yeah.
um yeah, so much potential.
A lot
And
of potential. I
just
loved the under. Was it under the house where all the cars and the creature thing, and
yep, that was great.
I really liked that sequence a lot.
I liked there was a character I liked though. I liked the character of Stretch, who was her friend.
A
Like
friend, I liked him
he was
too.
likable. Maybe that was the point you're supposed to be rooting for him,
Yeah,
and rooting against her. Maybe that was the point of her. You were
I
supposed to be
definitely rooted against her.
rooting against her.
Yeah,
Uh, and you when you have a character like that, I know like they're playing with you. Maybe you're really wishing for their comeuppance for them to get it in the end.
yeah,
And they knew we were wanting that, and so maybe they
yeah.
didn't want to give it to us, which is I'm fine. Like I get that. Don't necessarily give the viewer exactly what they want. That's fine. But like I don't know. Not gonna make any top 5 or 10 or
Yeah.
20 lists of mine. Yeah.
And I think I can say this. I do. So I'm not somebody that's like, that gets frustrated if there's not like a happy ending or like I'm good with
No.
all of that stuff. So I appreciate this concept that nothing was learned. Like humans we love to think like, oh, we get put in this situation, we know exactly who we're going to be, or we like to think that person is this horrible person, right?
Yep.
They're going to change, they're going to learn, they're going to look at things different, they're going to come out of this a different person. And she absolutely didn't. And that was one element of her, we'll call it an arc, that like I actually did like. I liked that she didn't change, because I think
Like,
that
she
that
really
makes,
didn't change. She
like, no,
really
not at all. But I think that that makes it, that made it, for me at least, a little bit easier for me to see some of the point of why she was the way she was. Because I'm not one of those, like, good squashes evil. I think people are awful most of the time. Like, I think we like, when it comes to instincts or survival, or when we're allowed to be our true selves, we sometimes are not who we are when
Yep.
we're in front of other people. And I like that she didn't change, because I think that actually added that, like, ugh feeling,
Yeah.
because I almost like wanted her to, like, I'm thinking after her friend dies,
Yeah.
maybe change, be a better person, like change, but she was still talking shit from
I mean, she's not a phony. She
she
is
was who she was, and
exactly who
that's all
she
it was.
was, and giving all the power to her, this fictional character, I guess. But yeah, she was tough, tough
Yeah.
to like. But they didn't want you to. I don't think they wanted us to like her.
No, I agree with
Yeah,
that. And I think she's that way on purpose. I think it's
yeah,
over the top on purpose. It just like, I think you said it perfectly in two things that you said. You said it was distracting, and you said there were some really good scary moments that
yeah,
got just like a little broken up with it. So you couldn't even like get invested in the scare as it
yeah,
was happening,
yeah.
because you're just pulled right out of it.
Yeah. In the best, I think that in movies and books, whatever media, the best villains. I don't want to call her a villain because I know she wasn't the villain, but the best
Yeah.
characters to hate or to dislike are often the ones that are the most well-rounded or have other sides to them and aren't just like
Yeah.
across the board awful. And she
Yeah.
was across the board awful. So it was like hard, you know what I mean? Like
I
it was,
do.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
tough.
it's one thing to not like a character, and it's another to like, you really don't get a lot of exposure to anything except her talking, like a majority
Yep,
of the film.
yep.
The few moments we had where Stretch had the camera were definitely some of the better moments. Like,
Yeah, they were because he was scared. He was actually scared,
he was
and
legitimately terrified, and you heard pain, because he, at
mhm,
that point, I'm pretty sure, was injured.
yep,
And like, you just got this taste of like, even when that car hit them, kind of sort of when things kind of started,
yep.
like midway,
Most
and that
tense. Yeah,
couple like died, and that one
yeah.
guy was on, she was like, "Oh
No,
no."
that scene was yeah, but that scene was scary. Like there were scenes. She's like sort of sitting in the middle of these scenes that were actually terrifying, which was this weird juxtaposition. It was not like anything I've seen, which is, I mean, that is kudos to the filmmaker. It was filmmakers. It was really unique.
They're
Um,
very I can't remember her name, but it's directed by the same person as the host. It's
yeah,
written and produced, I think, by the same woman who did host. Like, it's a lot of the same.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that she has the ability to definitely think outside the box when she's writing these films.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I'm with you. I will watch any project that they put out. I really will, because I Host was so good. Like, Host really got to me. Like, it was so good. And there were moments in this that were just really well done too. That, I mean, yeah, I definitely would watch anything that
I
they
mean,
did.
there were moments, specific shots,
Yeah.
short snippets that were very scary.
Hmm.
I would still like, I don't know if you go this far, I would still say to people to go and watch it because,
Yeah.
um, I think it's okay not to love every character in every movie. And I think if you like Toast, and you want to see
Yeah.
these folks make some more movies, go and support this one. But it wasn't my favorite of theirs so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first, it is one like, I think I used to say that I was fine with slow burns, but I think that I'm not as fine with them as I think I am because I've like the first half was like so it was too much like too slow.
Oh, you
Like
felt so? You thought it was
I
slow?
felt well, and part of that in truth is probably because of my feelings on Annie as the character. Like I think I was just like, can we
Yeah.
please get to something else, you know?
Mhm.
But like when I watch shark movies and they have too many people scenes, I like fast forward because I don't watch shark movies for people unless they're getting eaten. I don't really care. But I just and I didn't fast forward this. I mean, I it is as painful as certain things were for me to like get through, and I just was getting kind of like but I agree. I think these filmmakers are like and if the truth of the matter is I was uncomfortable the whole time, so that was definitely achieved.
Maybe that's what they were going for in the end, and maybe they
Yeah.
were very successful. They were very successful with that. So,
Yeah. Did you like the ending?
um, I didn't like Annie's reaction to the ending, right? Like, and then Annie in the credits was, I know it was not supposed to be the character, but it sort of, again, pulled me out. So I feel like
Oh,
you watch a movie, a scary movie, and the credits come on. I'm like, oh God, I need to turn the lights on really quickly.
I know what you mean.
But Annie was like singing about everyone in the in the crew, and
Yeah.
didn't do it for me. But go
Yeah.
see this movie because these are filmmakers who are making some good stuff, and we want them to make more. So
And you know it's true. There are people on Twitter that are raving about this film.
there are.
And I'm like, I've already messaged one of them and I was like, I genuinely want to have like just message me why you love it so much. I genuinely want to know. I'm not being a smartass. I don't want to argue. I genuinely want to know because when you have things like this that people feel pretty strongly one way or the other, like really didn't care for it or really loved it, my mind has been swayed before. Like it's like it just is one of those things. Like I would genuinely, I want to know what did I miss? What am I not seeing? Like what are other people getting out of this that I didn't get? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so if you're watching this and and you've already seen Dashcam and you loved it, I want to know why.
And and just because we didn't like it doesn't mean you're not going to.
That's true
Um,
too.
you
That's
know,
true.
especially because what people are scared of really
Yeah,
varies. So you often hear people, "What's the scariest movie you've ever seen? What's the scariest book you've
it's
ever read?"
all,
It's
yep.
all that question is based on what scares you personally, and so
Yeah,
um, the character of Annie might really scare you. I mean, in some ways, she's terrifying. So,
that's true.
uh, give it a watch. Maybe this is going to scare the socks off you.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that really like this film. So yeah, definitely think it's worth watching. I would agree with that.
Absolutely. And
There's
then
not I'll
maybe
be
wait until it's free on Shutter or something. But watch it, rent it at your local library.
there you go. Yeah, because I think right now it's still you have to pay to rent it, but it yeah, I think it's worth it. I don't know that there is really many movies that I genuinely are like, don't ever watch this movie. So yeah, I think
I only have one, and you will strongly disagree.
oh no.
Hmm.
What is it?
You really, really like Tony Collette and not God, I'm blanking on it. We talked about this before. It's
It's the movie I like, or are you being sarcastic?
you love this movie. You love this movie. We talked about it before. It's not found footage. It's
You're not talking about Hereditary, are you?
yes.
No, I
That
hate
is the worst movie
Hereditary.
ever made.
I hate that movie.
Oh, okay. We
That was
agree on
one
that. We
that was
agree on that.
one we agreed on because
Okay.
you said that and I was like, oh, "Yes,
Okay.
finally
Yes, you are the
somebody."
one who also hates that movie. Yes, the worst movie ever made. Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Yes.
And then you said that you liked The Witch.
I like The Witch.
And
Yes.
then that was when I was like, "You're losing me," because
I like
I
The Witch.
didn't like that one
I
either.
like that. I like the lore there. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like
okay, that's fair. I actually really did like the ending of The Witch. I just
no.
there was things in the middle I didn't like. But yeah,
I will tell everyone, please don't ever watch Hereditary.
yeah, I
feel
agree.
that
I
strongly.
hated that movie so much.
But
Like,
but there you go. There's people that love that movie. So, and that's fine.
that's true. That's true. So yeah. Well, that's our thoughts on Dashcam.
We did it.
Definitely still watch it. It's
That
just
was a heavy. That was like a heavy first review for us, wasn't it? Like you picked like the most political. There's only like one political found footage movie ever made, and that's the first one we talk about.
But it's because I had such strong opinions on it, and you messaged and were like, "Oh, I have thoughts," and I was like,
Yeah.
"We should do an episode on Dashcam." Well, and what is true is I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it on their channels. Like, I'm not seeing a lot
Right.
of video reviews on it. Like, I haven't seen a lot of stuff. So I'm like, we need to talk about this. And again, I genuinely want to talk to people who like it or who love it, because
Sure. I want to hear. Yeah.
I want to know what it is that I'm not getting. What did I miss? What are other people getting out of it? So
Change
it
my mind.
was.
Yeah. Change my mind.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. All right. Well, that's our second episode of Found Footage Fridays.
See you next Friday.
That's right. We don't know yet. You'll have to come back and see.
Be a surprise. I don't think we know yet either.
We don't know yet. So it'll be a surprise for everyone involved. So yeah. Yeah, if you like Dashcam, definitely tell us why. If you agree, tell us why. We want to know. So
Please do.
Yeah, so that's all we have for this episode. So make sure you come back and check out our next episode of Found Footage Friday. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.